The all but certain confirmation of Judge Amy Coney Barrett to the Supreme Court is giving conservatives and evangelical Christians reason to celebrate. Republicans are pushing to confirm the 48-year-old conservative judge before the election. The Supreme Court has been a top issue for the evangelical community, a crucial voting bloc for President Trump. But now that the president has fulfilled his 2016 promise of getting more conservatives on the high court, will this allow some evangelical voters to abandon his re-election bid? All right, let's bring in Bonnie Kristian. She is a contributing editor at The Week and a columnist for Christianity Today magazine. Bonnie, thank you so much for being with us. So for a number of evangelicals, supporting President Trump was about getting conservative justices on the high court. Barring anything unexpected, Amy Coney Barrett is on the verge of becoming President Trump's third appointment. What might that mean for the president's re-election prospects and support for him?
You know, I think it depends on the evangelical voter in question. So if you have someone who is very enthusiastic about the president and views this as a fulfilled promise that they're happy to have had that happen, it may be for them a reason to be more enthusiastic about their vote and to definitely make it out to the polls. On the other hand, there was this significant subset of evangelical voters for Trump in 2016 who were very much transactional voters. They maybe did not like Trump, were not thrilled about voting for him, and were really there because they wanted the Supreme Court nominations that he would do and the nominations, and they did not want the nominations Hillary Clinton would make. And so now that these nominations are complete, it's possible that some of those voters, those transactional voters, would say, well, we got what we wanted. There's no reason to give him another vote.
So, Bonnie, what are some other issues that are important to evangelicals?
You know, I think that the ones we most often hear about tend to be sort of those culture war issues, things related to abortion, which of course is intimately related to the Supreme Court, things related to gender and sexuality. Also religious liberty, I think, is a very big one right now, where there's this concern, particularly as the country at large becomes less religious and people are moving away from religious traditions and becoming more agnostic or religiously unaffiliated. There's a concern that people outside of faith may not really understand why religious liberty is important. And so that really escalates this felt need to vote for people who will nominate judges, like Judge Amy Coney Barrett, who will place a high value on protecting religious liberty. And so I think certainly evangelical voters have other concerns as well, just like anyone does. They care about immigration and foreign policy and economic issues, but those are the ones that we sort of think of as the distinctives for evangelicals.
Well, how has evangelical support of President Trump fluctuated, if at all, during his first term?
It has fluctuated some compared to where we were this time in 2016. About 5% fewer evangelicals say they intend to vote for Trump, but we're still looking at very high levels of support. I will say, though, that if you look at approval as compared to intent to vote, evangelical approval of Trump actually tends to sit a little bit lower than overall Republican approval of Trump. So an evangelical approval will tend to be in the 70s somewhere, whereas among Republicans generally, his approval has been right around 90% pretty consistently throughout his first term. So there is a little bit of discomfort and uncertainty there. And I'm specifically speaking about white evangelicals here. If we broaden it out to evangelicals who are not white, which is a growing portion of the evangelical community, you get much lower rates of approval and much lower rates of intent to vote for the president.
Well, finally, what has the Biden campaign done to court evangelical Christians, and is there evidence that it's working?
There is definitely an interest from Democrats this year, an idea that perhaps some of these voters, particularly among younger evangelicals, millennials, and Gen Z, that maybe there are voters who can be pulled away from the Republican Party. One of the things that stood out to me the most was at the Democratic National Convention, Michelle Obama's speech spoke about this idea of values and were the values that our parents taught us sincerely held, and that is a question that comes up for many younger evangelicals. I think when we look at our parents and our older pastors and teachers now voting for a president who seems to go against so many of the values that we were raised to hold. So I think there is some movement there. Though, again, the proof is in the pudding, and we really won't know until after the election comes out. And I also think that if we do see a similar rate of evangelicals voting for Trump this time around, some of that may be about having a different sample, in that people who called themselves evangelical in 2016 no longer use that label, perhaps. And so they're not being reported as evangelicals for or against Trump because they've dropped out of the category.
Interesting. All right. Well, Kristian, Bonnie, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Elaine.